Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. How is everyone doing with the time change? It's always an adjustment. I walked into the kitchen tonight and the sun's setting, and I'm like, what is happening? Why? No, I'm not ready for this. So it's always an adjustment with the kiddos, which I know I teased that the other day. For those of you who know me personally, you know what kiddos I have. For those of you who know me publicly and maybe haven't caught up in a couple of years, I will reveal what my personal life looks like these days, as well as what I'm up to professionally and why I'm hosting this live stream and why I'm so happy to have you guys here with me tonight. So, thanks for joining. Thanks for being curious as to what I am up to. I'll be checking the comments. Bear with me because I'm a one woman show. I am switching between tabs and checking everything. So, I may not be able to see your comment right away, or if you have a question. So I'll be kind of toggling back and forth between different tabs, and I will try to answer your questions as they come in. Jason saying, yes, time change is tough. I agree. The kids, I feel like it's always a battle the first day. Even with the fall back, you think, well, shouldn't this not affect them as so much? You're not having to get them up earlier. They should be sleeping later. I don't know. So, and Sharon saying, so depressed, it was dark at 6. I know. That's when I walked into my kitchen and I was like, why? And you know what was different tonight? My kids usually are outside playing. And tonight it was like, we're going to do early baths and we'll just watch a show and hang out because it's dark outside and you can't go play. So I think the kids are going to get used to that too. I found some Grinch jammies for them. We're already doing Christmas at our house. So let me know in the comments, are you team do Christmas decorations early or wait until after Thanksgiving? I know this is always a huge debate, almost as huge as do you put noodles in your chili? Very divided. Some people are very divided on this. So I love Christmas. Get that from my mom. She decorates before Halloween. It's crazy. The trick-or-treaters are very confused at her house when they show up. But at our house, it's just so much less stress. So Saturday, I put one tree up. I do 3 trees. I know, is that bad? I do 3 trees. So I did one tree. It's my pretty tree. It's my tree. It's all pretty gold, sparkly. And we do a family tree that has all the family ornaments, all the ornaments the kids make. We haven't done that one yet, but it's so nice to just do it kind of like one weekend at a time. So I think this following weekend we'll do another tree and maybe the mantle and do it kind of slowly but surely. So tell me in the comments what you guys do and if I'm crazy for putting up my tree on November 1st. All right, I'm going to get to it. I'll give you guys kind of a background of where I've been. And I was Sharon saying, hold on, we'll look at these comments real quick. Sharon saying, I'm a waiter because it's exhausting. It is. Jason saying, gotta wait until after Thanksgiving. I know there's some traditionalists, gotta wait. Okay, so let's get into it. Why am I here all of a sudden? Just out of nowhere, coming back into the public eye. So I'll go back to when I was a little girl. And I grew up here in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters. And as a kid, I remember playing breaking news. And my reporter name with my fake microphone was the culmination of 2 of Louisville's greats, Melissa Swan, and Rachel Platt. So I was Rachel Swan because my name is Rachel. And so I was culminating Rachel Platt and Melissa Swan and Rachel Collier. And so I was Rachel Swan reporting live. So it really started pretty young that I feel like I had this calling to work in news and tell stories. And then it went to middle school. A librarian approached me one day, and I can still picture her. I cannot recall her name. But she approached me one day and asked if I, instead of just sitting in the gym and hanging out until the bell rang and it was time to go to class, she wanted to know, do you want to start up a student newscast and lead it? And so I said, okay, I'm not doing anything else but just sitting here in the gym twiddling my thumbs. So I would come in every morning. I would take all of the announcements I would type them up on this computer. I would look at the weather, type that up, and I would also lead the Pledge of Allegiance on camera. And this was the beginning of my career, you could say. And what was funny is this computer she had this pretty much a giant closet set up as our studio. She had a computer on top of a file cabinet, and that's where I would type everything out. And I would do it in really big font. And there was somebody else who she had recruited, and they were my teleprompter operator, and they would be clicking the down arrow button just in Microsoft Word, everything that I typed up, so that I could sit back and have this teleprompter that was just Microsoft Word with the down arrow key of all of the announcements that I had typed up and the weather that I'd typed up. And then I would sit back and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. So that was the beginning. Then in high school, if we go to high school, I actually babysat for Scott Reynolds. Do you know Scott Reynolds? Yes, you do. Longtime journalist, TV news anchor here in Louisville. I'll tell you how close I was with his family. Here we go. You ready for this? He was at my wedding. That's Scott right there, holding my hands, having a moment, because I grew up in his house, taking care of his kids and his family, and just a really special family. I started working with his kids when they only had 3 children. Then they had twin boys. So they had 4 boys that I babysat, and 1 daughter who was the oldest. And so 5 kids total. And I babysat them from middle school all the way through college. And Scott was instrumental in mentoring me. And he came on in high school. I went to Ballard High School, and we had a student newscast there. And Scott came on, was so gracious to be a guest news anchor with me at Ballard High School. Took time out of his day to come do that with me. And he also helped me when I was in college to come shadow him at Wave 3. We had a shadowing assignment. I came and got to shadow him at work. I thought it was so cool to be able to finally be in a real news station environment. And eventually he helped me get an internship at Wave 3. I did intern at WDRB first, and then another internship, Wave 3. Scott helped me with that. And so full circle moment, being able to work at Wave 3 with Scott, who I'd known for so many years, and with his children. Oh my goodness. The 4 boys, we're going to get back to that in a minute. The 4 boys, if you want to talk about a God wink, this might be a little tease I'm giving you about what my personal life looks like with kids these days. So what are you thinking in the comments? Let me know. Girly girl here. I love makeup. I love getting my nails done. What do you think? If you don't know me personally, don't tell. If you know me personally, don't give it away. What do you think I ended up with kid-wise? And so I ended up going to Western Kentucky University. I remember working at WBHS, Ballard High School, and the student newscast. Actually, I have a picture of that. Let me share that. This is pretty great. Oh, wrong one. Again, bear with me. One woman girl here, one woman show running this. So this is me in high school. That's our Ballard High School news set with a printed out paper number 5 slapped on the desk there. And the art students had made a city skyline behind us. And Kevin was anchoring with me that day. He's more of a technical guy, actually. And we ended up working together later on at WDRB, which was really cool because we started out at Ballard High School together. But Kevin was a technical guy, and he was forced to be on the anchor desk this day, as I was forced to work on technical stuff as well. We all had to expand our skills. So he was not happy to be anchoring with me, as I was never happy to be on the behind the camera stuff that I was not good at. And I'm still not that great at. And so my career kind of continued here. I knew I wanted to work in news and do storytelling. And I remember having a teacher come. I cannot remember which college. I want to say it was Eastern Kentucky University. And I grew up a University of Kentucky Wildcats fan. Don't hate me. I'm sorry if you're a U of L fan. I'm a cordial UK fan, I promise. But I remember asking this professor from EKU, hey, I really want to study journalism and go to college for that. But I love the University of Kentucky. I want to go cheer for the Kentucky Wildcats. not actual, I was never actual cheerleader, but I mean, cheer for the basketball team. I love Kentucky basketball. Grew up watching the Cats with my dad. I grew up in the 90s. I mean, the 90s Wildcats. Come on. And so this professor looked at me and he goes, do you want to do print journalism, like newspapers? Do you want to do print journalism or television news? I said, television news. He was like, only one place you need to go for that, and that's Western Kentucky University. And that was the end of it. That was the only place I applied to. I didn't apply anywhere else. I went to Western Kentucky. I'm a proud Hilltopper, and they have such an amazing broadcast journalism program. Of course, I met my husband there and worked my tail off trying to get into this business of broadcast journalism and storytelling. So I actually said the other day, I was telling this story after I graduated from Western Kentucky. I was working at WBKO in Bowling Green, and I was making more money at home in the summer as a lifeguard than I was at this TV station. And I was so burnt out and just tired and like, what am I ever going to make it? And I had interned at WDRB. I'd interned at Wave. I had that experience under my belt, but I was one man banding, which means I was doing the whole thing. I was the camera person. I was the editor. I was doing it all. And I was like, I'm determined to make it. This is my dream. I'm not going to give up. And I was saying the other day to a group that I was talking in front of, I said, I don't think my mom's heard this story before, but I was sent to cover a murder at a trailer park. Okay. I had to come back with a story. I couldn't just go out there and shoot some video. I had to interview somebody. I had to find somebody willing to go on camera with me. That was the task at hand. I knocked on trailer doors, and I very stupidly went inside of a trailer with a dad and his son. And I'm sitting there interviewing them about this murder that had taken place in their neighborhood, their trailer park neighborhood. And I'm sitting there praying in my head, oh my gosh, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. And I don't make enough money for this. I'm going to be killed. What if they're the killers? And so I'm telling this story the other day. I'm like, that was some determination. Looking back, I was really dumb. And I should have just said, you aren't paying me enough for this. You either send somebody with me or I'm not knocking on doors where they haven't caught the guy. They haven't caught the guy yet. And I'm just willy-nilly, wide-eyed and dreaming of making it and willing to do anything. Oh my goodness. Just shake my head at that. That could have been so bad. I feel like looking back so many times I had God's protection over me. So long story short, I finally got the call and WDRB accepted me. I'm so grateful and just so grateful for them taking a leap of faith. I remember getting that call from the news director and him saying, I'm not hiring you because you're the best. I've got a bunch of other tapes on my desk. We had to send DVDs back then of our work. And so he had a stack of DVDs on his desk. He said, I'm not hiring you because you're the best. I'm hiring you because you've interned here and I know you're a hard worker and we can get you to where we need you to be. We can help you grow. And they did. And I'm so thankful for the many people there that poured into me. And man, I had some rough first couple of live shots. I remember the first time I had only done one live shot at WBKO in Bowling Green. And so WDRB, I remember Kara Catlett, she was like, are you ready to go live today? You're going to go live? And I was like, go live? Because I had only done like pre-recorded segments up until then. And so she was talking like live truck out in the field, no teleprompter. I'm going to have my notes and be doing this. And I said, live shot. And she said, that's okay, isn't it? I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was so nervous. And once I got that one done and out of the way, it was okay. I definitely had some rough ones. There were definitely some rough ones where I was pulled into the office and made to rewatch. Let's rewatch this one and pick it apart. And of course, it made me a better live reporter. And then eventually I ended up reporting live on the morning newscast, which was several hours of news. You had no choice but to grow on that newscast. It was probably the best thing for me because there was so much breaking news. I had to go off the notes in my hand and interview quickly and work quickly. And I loved news. I loved that. I loved just all through my career talking to people, hearing stories and telling those stories. So that brings me to where I am right now. And so if you've made it this far, I appreciate you guys being with me. If you want to click like, click a little heart, drop some comments, that'll help some extra eyes see this in my endeavor that I'm doing. And I'll just go ahead and start by giving you kind of the background that as a reporter, I've stared into the eyes of a serial killer. That's happened. I've rubbed the nose of a Triple Crown winner. I've stood in the cold covering storms, fires, and heartbreak. And for nearly a decade, I told stories that connected me to this community and beyond in a very powerful way. But now I feel like it's time for a new kind of story, one that focuses on hope, kindness, and the good that is still happening all around us. So I'm welcoming you to the first episode of Good News with Rachel Collier, because in a world full of breaking news and sad news and depressing news, I feel like we could all use a little more good news. So I want to focus on good journalism and good stories. What this is going to look like in this world is anything that is uplifting and positive. I want to share. That could look like an entrepreneur that has overcome something monumental to get where they are. It could look like someone who has overcome extreme health issues and made it through heartbreak. It could look like someone who has overcome tragedy. And some of these people that I've interviewed throughout my career, and even right now that I'm in the process of interviewing, their stories are really incredible. So if there's someone that you can think of that you're thinking in your head, oh, wow, I know somebody. They don't have to be someone famous. They don't have to be someone that is well-known and has some extraordinary, crazy story. I feel like some of the good stories are just in the ordinary everyday people that have just been through it, or maybe not just been through it, but have worked really hard to achieve something, or maybe they're doing something, striving for better in our world. Maybe they've founded a nonprofit. There could be a whole slew of people out there that their stories are untold. And so those are the stories that I'm looking for. I've already started interviewing a few guests for my podcast, and I'm really excited to start sharing those stories with you. And just last week, recorded a few episodes, talked to some really brilliant people with some amazing work that they're doing. So excited to share those. And then I have a few others that are lined up that I'm also really excited to share with you guys. So I'm going to hop in the comments real quick. Again, I am totally Jason again. WKU is awesome. And you know what? I missed the personal questions. I haven't gotten to that yet. I'm seeing some comments about that. And actually, let me show you guys. I'll share some more pictures with you all. Hold on just a second. Okay. So this is when I was an intern at WDRB. Here is a picture of when I was this was actually the WKU student newscast. Luckily that day, this was a big story. There were some veterans in town and we covered it. And Nick Curran, a fellow WKU student with me, said, sure, I'll shoot the video so you can focus on a good story. Usually it would just be me with the camera and the microphone, but I had Nick that day, thank goodness. And let's see. I had videos, of course, to play for you guys, and I totally forgot about them. But here's some video. If you all don't know of my previous career, here it was. Look at this excitement. This was a 2 people shot, SWAT officers swarming around. I was live. It was pretty scary. There had been a big boom going off right before they took me live on camera. They were putting yellow tape up right there. They didn't have any tape up yet. And they were like, get behind the tape. It's crazy. I have some crazy stories from my career. It was a very thrilling. You never knew what you were getting into. When you walked into work, it's like, okay, am I covering a press conference? Am I covering a fun story? Which of course I always gravitated towards the good news. I loved good news stories. One of my favorite stories that I ever did was with Norton Healthcare. And I got to follow around one of their therapy dogs, Henry. And I love that at the end of the story, the chaplain who worked with the dog said, and had the dog at home with him, said he ate a tub of butter at home. Got into a tub of butter. So I always gravitated towards those good news stories. And that's kind of where this comes from. I feel like it's kind of my calling in life to share good news and make people smile. I do enjoy other news as well and reporting on it. And I'm not saying that there won't be some of that. I did, oddly, it's weird to say I enjoyed covering like murder trials, but there was a lot to that. And I did enjoy working those cases, getting to know the families, talking to the attorneys, sometimes talking to the defendants, and kind of the why behind some of that. So this was my, what I did for so many years. So I left TV news. I had my first son. So many of you will probably know about him. And he was maybe a year and a half old when I left. Here's one of my favorite assignments. I got to fly in an F-16. It was the coolest opportunity of my career. I think also that's, people think that TV news is so glamorous. It's this glamorous job and you work in TV. And this was part of that. This was that side of it. But then as I'm telling you, these SWAT standoffs and fires and devastation and interviewing people in the midst of their heartbreak, in the midst of tragedy, that was always really hard. That was always really hard, having to gently, and I think it's an art, gently ask people, are you willing to tell me your story? Sometimes very quickly after something tragic has happened. And I'm always grateful for so many people who opened up to me. Okay, so are you ready? Are you ready for personal life stuff? I've made you guys wait enough. Okay, so Sharon is saying, let me put me back up on here. Multitasking. Sharon says, I'm a mom to 3 boys, no girls, just a boy mom. Sharon. Okay. I'm not saying anything yet. Zip. And Tiffany, sweet Tiffany, thanks for the shout out, my friend. Saying she likes my highlights. Really? I'm overdue. I just texted my hairstylist tonight. I'm like, I need to get in there. So thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm reading you guys' comments. Thanks for saying hi. Click like, give it a little love, give it a little share if you feel like it. Share with somebody who you think might want some good news in their lives. And all right, I promise I'm getting there. Let me pull up the pictures. All right, so I had my first son. If you know me personally, you already know. This is no surprise to you. So what do we think that we have each time? So here they are. I'll just pull it up. I'll just show you the picture. Dun, 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 dun. I have 3 boys. I have 3 crazy little stinky boys, and I love them so much. So here they are. My oldest, John David, who was the one that I had while I was still working in TV news, and Winston, the middle one, and little Matthew. So each time I was like, this is my girl. I'm going to have a girl. I'm going to have my girl that can go get their nails done with me and go shopping with me. So I love my little boys. They are so precious. They are so draining and so energetic and so much fun. My oldest and my middle ride BMX. My oldest was the state champ for the 8 novice division this year. Super exciting. And so that is the sport that they are in love with. And I never could have seen myself as a boy mom. Like, what? Especially being, first of all, so girly. Second of all, I'm the youngest of 3 girls. So there you go. Anyways, that is my life. And my husband, Brian, we have been married. It'll be 15 years this December. So we were college sweethearts, and we will have been married 15 years this December. So 3 boys. And how could I? I meant to upload a picture. I do have one daughter, my golden retriever named Rosie. I cannot believe I meant to do that. How could I leave her out? She's part of our family. My little sweet Rosie. She is part of our circus. She sometimes, some days she is the ringleader of these 3 boys and gets the zoomies and just has them cracking up. So they are super fun. And I just, yeah, this is my life. I'm a boy mom. That's why I've been so busy. And, I got out of news. I was working on my Wonder Women podcast years ago. I don't know if any of you all were following that, but it was kind of the same concept, good news stories, but it was women who were doing amazing things, and got to interview some amazing women with incredible stories. But it was not a video podcast. It was just audio. And I don't like that. I'm a visual storyteller. I always have been. And so I'm like, we're going to do this again. I still feel this calling to do this, to tell stories, to tell good news stories. So let's do it again. Let's get the setup right. Let's figure it out. And shout out to Daryl Smith, my teacher from Ballard High School, who I messaged and was like, please help me. And so he sent me, okay, here's the camera you need. Here's the lighting setup that you need. Here are all the things. He even hopped on here with me and did like a little preview segment where he was checking the lighting for me and, checking everything and making sure everything looked okay. So I appreciate Mr. Smith. I can't really call him by his first name. It feels weird because he was always Mr. Smith for me when I was WBHS. So Jennifer Crawford saying, bless boy mom, I am. And Sharon, oh, Sharon, you have your daughter too. So her daughter is a girl named Bird. So Sharon said in the comments that she is also a mom to 3 boys. So you and I, Sharon, we got to stick together with these crazy boys. You and I could probably share some crazy stories. So my boys are, let's see, we'll be 9 in March, 6 in February, and 4 in December. So they're currently 8, 5, and 3. And it's a lot of fun. They bring a lot of fun to the house. They are the sweetest things too. Oh my goodness. They're so sweet. So I love them. Any questions that you guys have? Shoot me any questions. What questions do you all have about what I'm doing and maybe what's next? I'll tell you my dream interview. Sarah Blakely, Spanx. I love her. She's the reason I'm doing this podcast. Her posts are so inspirational. She talks so much about just do it. You're never going to be ready. Don't say, I'm not ready. I can't do it yet. This is going to hold me back. This is going to hold me back, because I was doing that. I was saying, well, I'm not technical. I'm not good at the technical stuff. I'm not good. How do I know if my lighting's right? Or I'm going to have technical problems pulling pictures and videos up, as I've had tonight. And her posts are just, hey, just do it. And she was selling fax machines door to door. And she built Spanx. Household name, especially for women. If you're a man and you don't know where they are, you probably know a woman who wears them. They're amazing. And now she's founded her high heel sneaker shoe brand, Sneaks. And I would love to interview Sarah Blakely. So if anybody has connections to Sarah Blakely, holla, hook me up with her. I love her. Some other people, comedian Leanne Morgan, if you've seen her lately, she has her Netflix show. She has made it as a comedian later in life. She's hilarious, good, clean comedy, very relatable comedy. And I would love to interview her. I was talking to my husband. I'm like, I need to think of some more guys. Like, who would be, of course, in our household, the boys in my household love racing. And so he was like, definitely Elio Castroneves, 4-time Indy 500 winner, legendary racer. My kids love him. They've got hats with his team colors and his name and everything that they wear. And he's such a nice guy. So I'm like, Elio Castroneves, he's going to be on my list. And then, as I said, anybody who's making a positive impact. They don't have to be a household name. They don't have to be somebody big. So if you're thinking of somebody, I know somebody in my life who has been through a lot, or I know somebody in my life who's building this company that's amazing and is doing so much good work. Send it to me. Send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. You can email me. Good news. I'm gonna have to look that up. I just created this email. Hold on. Got to think about that. I'll put my email in the comments. And good news, Rachel Collier at gmail.com. And just send it to me. I would love to look at them and see if it's something that we can share here on the Good News with Rachel Collier podcast. I'd love for this to grow. So I would love your help in sharing, spreading the word, sending this to someone that you know that would maybe like to follow along. And my biggest hurdle right now is going to be technology and then just growing this. My plan is to share some snippets on social media and then have the full length podcast episodes, which the few that I've already recorded right now are about 30 minutes. So these are really those in-depth conversations that we don't always get a good look at. I feel like social media, we get these small snippets and there may be somebody out there where you're like, I love following this person on social media, but how'd they get started? Why did they decide to do this? What is the purpose? What if there's those types of questions? Those might be someone that I would look at interviewing and get those answers in a longer format, because social media, you get these small little glimpses into people's lives, but there's so many people out there doing interesting things. And it's like, can we get to know them a little bit more? And I don't know about you, but I love listening to podcasts, on my drive to work. If I'm walking, I love to go on walks in my neighborhood or walk on the treadmill. And so this would be that time to listen to these people's stories and watch these people's stories. I plan to have pictures and videos that you can follow along that help tell their story. So let me check the comments. I see some comments popping up. All right. Oh, Sharon's sharing the ages of her sons as well. Al saying good luck. Emily saying can't wait for the first episode. Thank you, Emily. All right. Well, guys, if you guys don't have any questions, we'll wrap this up and I'll be on here soon. So I'll be on here soon sharing snippets of my first couple of episodes that I've recorded, and we'll share those with you. And I just look forward to sharing good news. That's what this is going to all be about. So thank you guys for joining tonight. I appreciate you all being here, taking time out of your busy schedules to hopefully just relax and chill and enjoy listening to what's going on. It means a lot to me that you all would join me tonight and see what's going on. So I'll be back here soon sharing good news. Bye.